Part 1 RK equals Bothan Council Building, Bothoi. To the galaxy at large, the Bothans remained staunch allies of the Republic despite the upheavals in the core or the tremendous gains made by separatist forces in the past months. They fought multiple major battles since the conflict began, a proof of their loyalty. The truth was quite different. Despite what most outsiders and many Bothans believed, Bothoi was in fact neutral thanks to the efforts of the Bothan spy net. Cover operatives made contact with the separatists and ensured secret agreement that saw the Bothan home systems safe if covered by a distant CIS blockade. The price wasn't particularly steep. The actual Bothan forces had to stay home, something the 18 agreed with, and they had to feed intelligence to the separatists. The only exceptions were a few staged skirmishes meant to convince everyone that it was business as usual or meant to discredit that upstart now in charge of Kothles. It was a good deal for the Bothan. They would remain safe and powerful until either the separatists were about to win the war and then they could switch sides openly, or the Confederacy would falter, the Republic would break from the core and could use an intact ally in the mid-rim. It was a win-win situation. Let your allies and enemies exhaust each other and be ready to pick up the pieces and profit. Unfortunately, there was a Sith mucking the waters. This is General Obi-Wan Kenobi, Supreme Commander of all Republic forces. Identification. The former Jedi's image hung above the table where the 18 had gathered for the 5th time in just a handful of days. All Republic forces at Bothoi are ordered to support General Vale's efforts to liberate Kothles, and after that objective is achieved, break through to Republic space in the galactic east. I repeat. Shut it down. We've all seen it. The spy net representative sneered at the recording. We've seen the Chancellor's recommendation that we offer all possible assistance to the Sith too. The Council from the Diplomatic Service added. Enough bickering. The Council chief growled, making everyone lower their heads due to ancient instincts. Our neutrality is threatened. I need ideas. If the Sith reaches Bothoi, he'll likely force our hands. We'll have to either support the Republic for real or deal with him and thus back the separatists, said the SpyNet agent. Do you believe any of you will be able to lie to his face? What can he do? The Industrial Counselor asked. Unknown. All records of the ancient Sith are possibly compromised by propaganda. They speak of impossible feats. The agent reluctantly admitted. What do you know for sure? He can affect whole fleets. That gives credence to the more disturbing records of his time. That maniac burns whole worlds. The Science Counselor snapped. That he does. We all know this. Yet, the separatists do the same, with no provocation. With such allies, who needs enemies? The spy chuckled darkly. The council chief had to growl again, and then he slammed a clawed fist onto the table for a good measure. Which side has the advantage? He demanded in a rough voice. Couple of weeks ago, I would have said the separatists. Today, our efforts are helping the Republic stabilize. Kenobi is preparing counterstrike aimed at the Corellian system as he must, and the Confederacy is ready to meet him in battle. Vale fought his way through multiple systems and he's now at our doorstep. The war is balanced on a claw's tip. We can't tell you who will win. The separatists do hold some advantages, the same is true for the Republic. The spy raised her paw and offered a fang-filled smile. What I can tell you is that we're in the unique position to give a major advantage to one side or the other. If we betray the Sith and the Republic, if we take out Vale, the separatists will be in a stronger position. And if we chose the other path? She trailed off. No one doubted the Sith's abilities. With him on the helm, the Bothan and Republic forces in the region could shatter the separatist distant blockade and at the very least, shift the balance of power in this part of the galaxy. Thanks to your agents, we know that the separatists cleaned up their act and removed the worst offenders. That's why we made a deal with them. A deal that if exposed might see us all hang. The council chief reminded them all. He's a Sith. I doubt he'll be too upset that we seized an opportunity when it presented itself, especially if we support him. The agent shrugged. Can't we keep him at arm's length and retain our neutrality? The Council for Agriculture asked. Unlikely. The spy stated. That would be most dangerous course of action with a lot of drawbacks and little to no gain. Choosing a side for real will be no less dangerous. The Science Counselor countered. Yet if successful, the rewards could be substantial. The Sith has a relatively small force. By itself it's not enough to break the blockade of Kothles. The Republic Navy in this system is preparing to assist him. Together they will likely be successful, though they will suffer substantial casualties. If we help them and back the Republic, we'll be able to defeat the separatist blockade in detail. And if we do nothing, left our allies and enemies fight each other and then betray the Sith when he comes to us. The spy smiled. In that case the Bothans would enjoy an overwhelming material superiority and they would have the Confederate blockading forces as a backup. We need to decide what would be in our best, long-term interest. A separatist or Republic victory. Do keep in mind that when the dust settles, the Republic, even if victorious, would be a very different beast, potentially much weaker than the one we are familiar with. The separatists are unlikely to be able to keep the whole galaxy under control if they achieve victory. Either outcome would offer us opportunities to grow our power and influence. I want to hear what every single one of you recommends and why. Let's begin with you. What does the spy net says? The Council Chief demanded. We take out the Sith. He is a wild card and represent an unacceptable risk. In the long run we can deal with either a victorious Republic or Confederacy. A Republic or Empire controlled by a Sith from behind the scenes? That's a different beast and one we might very well face in the future if Vale isn't stopped now. One vote for backing the separatists then. Industry, what say you? We can live with the Republic. The same is not necessarily true for the separatists. Further, while right now the Confederacy does have some long-term advantages because of the vast territory they currently control, it is highly unlikely that the war will last long enough for them to make good use of those resources. Must I remind you of the industrial might of Kuat and the vast fleet they have built? A fleet that is largely intact and likely to be unleashed soon? I vote for the Republic. 1 for 1. The Council Chief nodded. Science? What say you? We know what the separatists did when influenced by the Sith. We saw what the Republic does under the same influence. That man needs to go. I vote for the Confederacy. Dully noted. Defense? What say you? 20 minutes later, all votes were cast and the 18 charted a new course for their species. 3 hours after the vote, the bulk of the Republic fleet stationed at Bothoi left for Kothles and not a single Bothan ship accompanied them. RK equals Part 2 RK equals Officer Quarters Republic Cruiser Shining Light Dark Space. People often say that the Force often works in mysterious ways. After 6 decades as a Sith, her messages were less cryptic than they used to be. There are different kinds of Force visions. Many are self-fulfilling prophecies, merely viewing others ensures that they would never happen. However, sometimes you get to see alternatives. Sometimes, you get to choose the lesser of two evils. Mere hours before leading my fleet into yet another battle, I was in my quarters, sleeping. Dreaming. Seeing. I saw the galaxy set on fire. Mandalore drowning under a never-ending tide of droids. I saw Bo throwing herself in battle after battle in a desperate attempt to regain her honor and avenge our people until she fell. I saw myself, standing alone on the helm of an empire built upon a ruin, yet, I saw another future, too. I saw the Mandalorians, my people, inspired to new heights. I saw my wife leading them into the future, in my name. I saw them fighting against impossible odds and prevailing. I pushed deeper within the disjointed visions until I saw what made it all possible. I saw deceit, deception. I saw betrayal and death. My death. I pushed further. I needed to see the past, the present and the future. I had to know, how did I get there? And the dark side obliged me. I saw indeed. Actions, they do have consequences. Mine, yours. My eyes snapped open and I looked at the shimmering form of Shark T, who sat cross-legged at the far end of my bed. None of this was meant to be, was it? She asked. The future is always in motion. It is a constantly shifting river. However, there are moments, points, where all possibilities converge and collapse until there are precious few paths forwards. I waved a hand. Oh, the details would be different, but the ultimate outcome? Destiny does have momentum, Shark T. Let it get up to speed, and sometimes all you can do is hang up for the ride. We Sith were supposed to forge our own destiny, our own fate. There were times we could do it, no matter the odds, no matter what the Force herself desired. I saw it too, you know. How our choices brought us here. Old conflicts, lies, deceptions, desires. T smiled wishfully. Mistrust. We can't escape our natures, nor our past. We can fight against them, we can keep them at bay, however they are always with us. They define us, they shaped us, I sighed. There was no single defining moment that brought us here. Countless of small choices, hundreds of important decisions. Will you run or will you fight? T asked. The Bothans made that choice for us all. I saw the flow of the future. If I ran, the Bothans' betrayal would shatter the Republic. Mandalore would burn. My wife would die before I could get back to the core. And I would ensure the whole galaxy would burn to soothe my grief. As a Sith, I knew what my choice should be. Letting myself die for love of all things. Love that I wasn't sure that it was real or a self-delusion born from a need to fill the bleeding hole in my heart left by Ashara's murder. Choices. There are always choices. It's just that, sometimes none of them are acceptable, I chuckled mirthlessly. Will you do it? Will you die for people who aren't yours? For a woman you might not really love? For a lie? T wondered aloud. It was a good question and it had a simple answer. If I could get back in time, I would have gladly died to save Ashara. Would I do it for the first people in this galaxy who accepted me and their descendants? For my wife? I glared at Shark T. The Mandalorians are my people, because I chose to be one of them, just as they chose me as their leader. I will fight for them, I will bleed for them, and today I die for them. For my wife and my people, because they're worth it. Perhaps the only worthy people left in this wretched, weak galaxy. Is it that simple? It is. It really was. I was a Sith. If my destiny led me to Bothoi, so be it. I would go there. I would fight fate itself and I will win or I would die. Either way, Bo would live. The dark side trembled in anticipation at my decision. She knew that very soon I would be unleashing her and demonstrating her full might for the whole galaxy to see. It was last night, wasn't it? Your brief reunion with your wife? T sighed. It changed something within you. I felt it even if I didn't recognize it. There are times we don't know how much we value something until we believe it lost. I should celebrate, you know. You're the last of the old Sith. Your death will be a precious gift for the Jedi in their darkest hour. There. I don't intend to die, T. I would fight to my last breath, screaming against the inevitable. We both saw what would happen then, didn't we? A shattered Republic fleet. The few survivors that made it to Mandalore wouldn't be enough to change the tide there. Possibly the worst outcome. There were choices. Alternatives. Each less acceptable than the previous one. Shark T chuckled bitterly. Now that I should rejoice at the imminent death of a Sith, I find myself torn. I'm a mere ghost now, yet I don't want to die. You broke me, Delkatar, corrupted me as I once feared. T moved from her position and crawled over the bed towards me. I want to feel. I need to experience all the emotions I forbid myself from enjoying. Her ghostly lips hovered above mine. I want to live, she whispered, we just need to do the impossible then. =RK equals CIC, Republic Cruiser Shining Light, Kothleys, the future has never been so clear before. And for the first time in ages I was truly serene. At peace even. It wasn't because of a mask or a lie that I told myself to keep insanity at bay. We dropped from hyperspace behind one of the separatist task forces. A large part of the from Bothoi did the same with a second, with a smaller flotilla jumping at the third. The fourth enemy force was in a position to go after our reinforcements, however they would soon be attacked by the local SDF. All it took was knowing where the enemy would be in advance and a few burst transmissions towards the governor, who took care of the rest. Everything was happening like in my visions, at least in those when I decided to fight today instead of running. The enemy was where I saw they would be. We caught them out of position and details shifted, altering the present. Would the future follow suit? It wasn't so simple. The Bothans still had their fleet at Bothoi. The separatists would come to seal the trap after we arrived there. This battle we fought right now? Unless we lost or achieved a Pyrrhic victory, it would be of no consequence. And we were going to win. The separatists here wouldn't be able to consolidate their forces. They already lost dozens of ships within minutes, unable to bring to bear the bulk of their firepower upon us. When they jumped away to regroup, we followed suit, switching targets. It was just I foresaw. We were going to win and this victory was going to seal my fate. Bothoi called to me and my destiny awaited me there. Part 3 =RK =. CIC. Republic Cruiser Katana. Kothles. It was a strange battle they fought at Kothles. Del-Qatar didn't use his battle meditation there. He didn't need to. Nevertheless, the Republic forces outmaneuvered the enemy again and again as if the general knew what the separatists would do before they thought of it. But that was surely impossible. Yet, how else could Admiral Holt explain what happened again and again? Currently a large CIS force hid on the other side of a small asteroid field. 3 times the enemy attacked and every time Vale knew exactly when and where they would come from, despite the fact that pockets of radiation within the asteroids and fierce jamming made the field a blind spot for the sensors. That was just the latest example. The opening attack of the battle was flawless, as if coordinated by hidden scouts, yet even if there was such left, they would have been useless. The attack came moments after the separatist forces made supposedly random hyperspace jumps to avoid precisely what happened to them very soon after transitioning back to real space. There had been no time for a message to reach the 2 Republic fleets, much less for a hyperspace jump to be calculated. Yet the general somehow knew where the enemy would be before they got there. It was infuriating. What got to Joanna most was the uncharacteristic serene voice that Del-Qatar used. His tone, his whole bearing, it was maddeningly out of character. It wouldn't be until 15 hours after the battle's conclusion that she would figure out what was wrong, and by then, it would be far too late. However, it wasn't as if she had much time to ponder her commander's odd behavior, not when there was enemy to fight and his commands were devastatingly effective. Accelerate to flank speed in 20 seconds. Rotate the fleet 63 degrees starboard relatively to the flag. Vale ordered and was instantly obeyed. A minute later, he spoke again. Fire at coordinates. Again, no one asked questions. No matter how strange or seemingly random his orders were today, they somehow worked. They did this time too. A constant turbolaser barrage lit up the darkness of space, flying close enough to the outer edge of the asteroid field to touch the tumbling pieces of rock, and the moment it would have flown into the deep dark, it slammed into the leading elements of the separatist task force they were currently engaging. Frigate accelerated right into the heart of the Republic firepower and simply disintegrated. The following battleships and dreadnoughts fared little better. Some attempted to decelerate and keep the asteroids between themselves and the Republic ships as a shield. Others came faster in a desperate attempt to get to grips with the enemy. The separatist formation tore itself apart and only those who ran into hyperspace escaped defeat in detail. Half the enemy fleet was already gone, with most of the rest heavily engaged with the force from Bothoi. Once the general's fleet got into position, they were going to deliver a deadly blow to the remaining separatist units. =RK =. Observation Lounge. Republic Cruiser Shining Light. Kothles. A stunning victory, one that should have reassured Jedi Master Mundi. They would soon head for Bothoi, where the fleet could rest, repair and recover. He might be able to get away from Vale there, or at least share his suspicions with the Bothans. It didn't felt like it. Despite the dark side throwing a veil, sometimes literally, over the galaxy, the Jedi could still occasionally get glimpses of the future. They were distorted, much harder to interpret than ever before. Those insights had only one thing in common: an overwhelming sense of danger. Going to Bothoi, it was anything but a good idea. Because of that grim premonition, Adi Mundi decided to seek Vale. He found the Sith standing in front of the windows, looking at the darkness of space. Vale felt off in the Force. He certainly wasn't any lighter, so to speak, however there was a sense of peace or perhaps acceptance clinging to his whole being. "You felt it then," Delkatar said. Mundi walked to stand beside the Sith and nodded. "There's something wrong at Bothoi. We shouldn't go there. If we do, I will die." Vale interrupted him. Those 3 words startled Mundi. He wasn't sure what he expected from this meeting. This certainly wasn't it. "Then I should perhaps politely ask you to go." "We're all going." "What?" Mundi whipped his large head to the right to stare at the Sith so fast that he nearly overbalanced. "The Bothans made a deal with the Separatists. If left unchecked, their betrayal will be fatal for the Republic," Vale sighed. "For my wife too. When we go there, I will die. My wife will live and your precious Republic will receive a chance it doesn't deserve." The Jedi's eyes widened at those words. So it was indeed acceptance that he sensed coming from Vale. Of all possible choices, this wasn't one a Sith would do. They were selfish creatures. Monsters. "I see," Mundi eventually said. Were he so blind along with the rest of the Jedi? Did they really misjudge Vale this badly? Or perhaps he made this choice just now. The same one he would have done in his shoes. "If you survive what's to come, which I believe you will, you'll need to deal with Madoran and the other fallen Jedi who still lives," Vale continued. "I didn't expect you chose the lighter path in the end," Mundi muttered. "I haven't. This is the logical course of action. Without me to keep them in line, those 2 will be loose cannons and you'll be too busy to babysit them." "Would they listen if I tried?" "Unlikely. Get on Madoran's ship before we leave. There's a shuttle waiting for you along with a contingent of Rex's men." "What do you expect us to do after Bothoi?" "I'll give you the official orders once we get there." What the hell? Go to Mandalore, break the siege and then go win this bloody war. You'll need to get your hands on whatever holocrons are left in the temple, and unless your kind has been foolish enough to actually destroy ancient knowledge, go deep in what they can teach you. You'll need that information and the power it brings if you want to stand against Parion. We're leaving soon. Your shuttle awaits." The Sith dismissed him. "Vale, may the Force be with you," Mundi said and headed for the exit. "She'll serve me well one last time, that much I don't doubt." After a mere few hours to replenish supplies and execute emergency repairs, the Republic fleet jumped towards Bothoi. =RK= Observation Lounge. Republic cruiser Shining Light. Bothoi. 2/3 of the Republic fleet that left the previous day returned and exited hyperspace just outside the range of Bothoi's orbital defenses. I could see thousands of sparkling light above the planet. Warships, Golan stations, weapon platforms and countless civilian vessels minding their own business. Everything proceeded just as I foresaw. "Contact the Bothan Council. They have a message for us," I ordered over an open channel to the CIC. They knew when we left and thus roughly when we would reach their world. The 18 traitors guiding the Bothan species waited for us in the seat of their power, protected by planetary and theater shields as well as the bulk of their fleet that waited above their heads. They could have answered the moment the local military detected our arrival, however they were stalling. The Bothans were aware we suspected something. We did come out in a battle formation, with our shields raised and our weapons hot. And as far as the bastards were concerned, it wouldn't matter. Their navy outnumbered what we had left at least 2 to 1, and their ships were intact. They had the fixed defenses too. It wouldn't be long now. It would take the separatists a few more minutes to get here, and that suited me just right. The force shook around me. The dark side flowed freely through my veins. It saturated my body with more energy than it could handle, though that no longer mattered. In fact, I needed it that way. "Sir, the chief of the Bothan Council is on the line for you. Patch him through and broadcast the conversation to the whole fleet." This right here, the moment the Bothans would reveal their betrayal for the whole galaxy to see, they were going to make a show of it, turn the destruction of this fleet and my death into a spectacle. In the same time, the Bothan spy net would use the ensuring chaos to cause havoc upon the Republic, revealing secrets, stroking hatreds, committing sabotage and acts of espionage. General Vale. The old Bothan glared at me. "It is my sworn duty to inform you that you are under arrest for war crimes too numerous to list here and now. The Bothan people could no longer be part of a republic that stands for the murder of innocents and the destruction of whole worlds. Please surrender and spare the soldiers under your command. This doesn't need to end in bloodshed." This was the reason why I couldn't run. My presence at Bothoi was a precious opportunity for the Bothans to spin their betrayal in a good light. A PR coup that, if played right, could hurt the Republic as much as anything else that the Bothan spynet did. They expected my fury. To lash at them, demonstrate to the whole galaxy that I was a mad dog, and thus not only justify their betrayal but let me hammer a nail in the coffin of the Republic with my words and actions. I smiled. I was about to oblige them, just not in the way they expected. "Yet another treason by your people. You do live up to the stereotype." I smiled, listed the names of all 18 of the bastards and the deals they made with Sidious, deals that meant they betrayed the Republic and were ready to turn it into a Sith empire. The only lie I uttered was to blame it all on Dooku. I was stalling for time too. What I was about to do took preparation. My smile became vicious when the Bothan's orders to cut off the broadcast of our conversation fell to deaf ears. Everyone was going to see and hear what would happen tonight. The people controlling the powerful holonet transmitter able to reach most of the galaxy from Bothoi were unable to respond. I already crushed their minds, leaving them as drooling wrecks. It was relatively simple to locate them. All I had to do was stretch my battle meditation for a short while and fuel it with more raw power than I ever dared to use with that technique. "I'm flattered. You didn't think your fleet is potent enough to face this Republic force, so at the moment of your betrayal you ran to beg the Separatists for help." I didn't need to give a verbal order. From one of my ships, a tight beam transmission containing real-time sensor logs went to the holonet station, where I used one of the meat puppets there to add it to the broadcast. The council chief opened his mouth to order the Bothan fleet to engage and his ground forces to stop the transmission. However, I didn't allow him to utter a word. This was my show now. My last performance, and I wouldn't be denied. "You betray us and expect that we will lay down our throats so you can cut them more easy. We will not. This trap, it won't hold us." My body felt on fire due to all the energy it contained and channeled. If it wasn't for Shark Tea acting as a buffer, I would be really burning right now. "Bothans, you believe that today you chose the winning side. Your leaders deceived you. This war, it's only beginning. The Republic and its allies won't bow so easily. This war was not of our choosing. Yet we will see it to its bitter end. We will sacrifice, we will bleed, we will exhaust ourselves, we will die, yet we will fight you still, traitors. Because our cause is worth any sacrifice. We fight for our very future. We fight for our people, our husbands and wives, for our brothers and sisters, for our children. To protect them, no sacrifice is too great, no act too monstrous to contemplate if it brings us closer to victory." The power within me finally reached a crescendo. Have you ever wondered what could happen if you back a Sith into a corner? You have my fleet trapped here, at Bothoi. Do you expect me to run and abandon my soldiers? To betray my people and allies as you did? Or perhaps you want me to make a doomed last stand? Fools. Tonight we fight. Tonight, we burn together. Tonight I may die, however my people will live. I let the battle meditation go, thus shielding my fleet from what I was about to unleash. I heard T scream as her ghostly form got ravaged by the power I forced her to channel, and used the regret I felt for what was not meet to be to further fuel the dark side, then summoned her to me. I am the Dark Lord of the Sith. I am the dark side made manifest, and tonight, no traitor shall touch my people. There was no finesse in what I did, and it was a good thing that such was not needed. My body caught fire, my flesh began to melt, and finally I was ready. I screamed my pain and fury through the living force that bound every single living thing in the galaxy. Then I unleashed the full might of the dark side upon that connection. Her laughter echoed throughout the whole galaxy, and we fed upon the very essence of life upon Bothoi, the ships and stations surrounding it. My flesh flash boiled, then healed, only to be seared from my bones again and again. All I knew was agony beyond description, an all-encompassing thirst, and the laughter of the dark side as we fed. Men, women, children, animals, from the largest mammal to the smallest bacteria, we consumed them all, and only dust remained. We fed upon a whole world, and we all burned together. Forever. RK CIC. Republic Cruiser Katana. Bothoi. Joanna, get the fleet out of here. Fly right through the Bothans, they are in no state to fight. Relieve Mandalore, this is my last order. Vale's voice echoed in Holt's head. At that moment she understood his strange mood. He knew about this trap, yet brought the fleet here anyway. Why did he do it? What madness was this? More importantly, why wasn't the enemy attacking? Flank speed, straight ahead. Get us right through the Bothans, above the planetary shields, and calculate hyperspace escape route. We're jumping the moment we clear Bothoi's gravity well. The Admiral snapped. To Joanna's utter astonishment, not a single shot came their way, neither from the Bothans nor from the Separatists. It wasn't until the whole Republic fleet passed through the traitor's outer perimeter that the Cis forces on the flanks began to move. They were too late, out of position too. By the time they could get to grips with Joanna's fleet, the Republic ships would have already jumped into hyperspace. Get me General Vale ASAP. Admiral, we just got a message from the flag. You have command, ma'am. The general can't be contacted. Damn you, Vale, Joanna spat.